But we want to get back to talking a bit more about that severe weather forecast as we track things along the dry line. Kit, you've got more of those details for us.
Yeah, thanks, Tavon. We've got that severe weather that's kind of outside of the marginal risk for today, but anytime we talk about these thunderstorm risks, we have the focus of the marginal here, but then we've got the general thunderstorm category, but it's not a 0% chance that we could see thunderstorms. So that does extend all the way south to Texas, but like I said, the focus is here from the I-27 corridor all the way close to Wichita Falls and almost the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but not quite into your area. You'll still see those thunderstorms overnight, but the main wind threat for winds upwards of 60 miles per hour is right here. Like I said, Plainville over to Wichita Falls and the Lawton area as well. So let's take you through the forecast here as we'll start to see some of those thunderstorms sparking off here over the next couple of hours. Those will begin to shift towards the east in the hours after that. Right there from Oklahoma City to Wichita Falls, down to Abilene, we start to see those thunderstorms there around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, this isn't a guarantee that it's going to be right in these specific counties, but within the vicinity, we could see those thunderstorms going to the severe threshold. Now, that will continue towards the I-35 corridor. They do weaken into the evening, and then it turns into some more widespread rain heading into parts of Arkansas as well. But notice that we've got that dry line that starts to set up there across the western side of Texas. All the moisture is coming up on this side. The very dry desert air is on the west side, and that's going to set us up for some severe weather later on. Now, the energy for these thunderstorms as we head into Wednesday evening, that's going to be right here between Dallas-Fort Worth up to Norman, Oklahoma City, up to the Tulsa areas. All those areas, we're looking at the focus for the severe weather here. Right there, we've got for tomorrow a slight risk. That's a level 2 out of a 5 scale across eastern Oklahoma, and then the marginal threat does extend into parts of southern Missouri as well. So lots of factors with this. The tornado threat becomes a little bit stronger tomorrow, mainly focused right there in that slight risk, sort of a bullseye right over the Tulsa area. But of course, that's not the only thing that we've got to talk about. We do have some potential for some severe on the Oregon coast, and just moisture in general is coming into bond. Right now we're looking at Portland, Oregon. I love the shot of the bridge.
Welcome back into Weather Nation as we take you out to a couple views across portions of, well, mostly the Northeast as we look across New York, Maryland, Ohio, and Maine. All that snowfall coming down makes you question what time of the year it is, Kit.
Yeah, it's the springtime we promise it is. We see those nice tulips there blooming, but all of this snow, a very powerful system, bringing in even all the way down some flurries in the Carolinas.
Yeah, talking about some areas of power outages, some hefty amounts of heavy wet snow creating some issues out there. But we're also going to break down what's happening across the rest of the country here in several moments as well.
That's right. We'll get to Viper in a moment, but let's take a look at some of these snow reports we've had across the Northeast. 18 inches in Virgil, New York. Heavy, heavy snow. This isn't your standard wintertime powder snow that just really is very fluffy. This is compactable, wet snow that's weighing down on power lines and causing a lot of power outages. We'll look at that in a moment. We still have some winter weather alerts across upstate New York and even here into the central Appalachians as well around West Virginia. But all of that heavy snow, it's like cement. Whenever we're here in the springtime, it's a fairly warm system and it weighs down on power lines. 80 to 100% of customers here in Hamilton County, New York are without power. So if you know anyone, hopefully they are staying warm through this system. Fortunately, it's not the dead of winter, so it's not extremely cold temperatures, but we are still getting below freezing. We also have some wind alerts here across northern Pennsylvania into southern New York as well. Gusts are going to be up to 55 miles per hour in this area, so going to be very breezy. If we've already seen some of those branches starting to get weighed down with the sap returning up, they're not quite leafing out yet. We might see some more power outages in those areas. Current conditions, Burlington, Vermont, 39 degrees, rain and snow mix, just absolutely nasty conditions out here. The cold, cold rain is really one of the worst things we've got around the area. Syracuse, 38, and heavy rain coming through. We're looking at the radar over the last few hours. We'll get a detailed view with Devon here in a minute or two, but we will see some of that snow continue to come sort of off Lake Erie, a little bit of lake effect snow with this system, and we're going to add another inch or two from that. But overall, things will begin to wind down in the next couple of days, fortunately, and we'll start to see a little bit less. Looking through the forecast here, that wraps up by early hours on Wednesday. We'll see a little bit more clearing there through the day Wednesday, but then our next system brings rain, and Devon, hopefully that begins to sort of melt away some of that snow in the area. Yeah, Devon, it doesn't look terrible now. We've got clear blue skies. It looks like a little bit of water there on the pier, maybe some snow melt from the past couple of days, but that's going to all freeze over and have more snow on top of it over the next couple of days. Let's take a look here. We've got the water vapor imagery. We've got moisture coming in from the Pacific, sort of an atmospheric river setup. It's a fairly weak setup for that, but this is all going to shift east over the next several days. So here's that red line that's denoting where we have the freezing temperatures and a little bit warmer towards the south. So Nebraska, Kansas on the warmer side of this system, but we've got the chance for heavy moisture bringing heavy snow to Fargo, the Arrowhead of Minnesota, mostly the far north upper Midwest areas, and heavy rain towards the central Midwest region. So behind that, we have cooler air filling back in. We'll also have some pretty high winds, but high pressure builds back in, and that should clear out the rest of that. But our next system winds up there Thursday, potentially bringing some more severe weather towards the Central Plains. How much snow are we expecting? Well, the Arrowhead of Minnesota might see upwards of 6 to 12 inches of snow. And of course, we do have the chance for blowing snow and ground blizzards across the northern Dakotas.
One place where we could really use the moisture is out across portions of the Four Corners as we are dealing with fire conditions.
That's right, Taban. This scary video out of San Luis Valley in Colorado where we've seen this fire just really starting to rage here over the last several hours today. Now, a lot of the Four Corners area into some of the plains is where we're looking at the chance for fire weather through the day today. So we're keeping an eye on that around the area. Almost all of New Mexico, we see the chance for the fire threat continues through the next several days. We've got very low humidity, we've got high winds coming through, and some places are fairly hot as well. So we'll keep an eye on that over the next several days, but we also have Tuesday here. We've got the chance for some fire weather conditions all the way up into Nebraska. This is the outlook. We've got that critical threat, and then of course we'll see the critical threat continue for parts of New Mexico here and into the panhandle of Nebraska as well. Now, the winds over the next several hours tonight are going to continue up to around 40, 45 miles per hour. Some may be gusting up to around 50 miles per hour. Anywhere you see sort of the brown color is that 50 mile per hour threshold. Now, this evening, it begins to taper off. That's good news for us because maybe we can get some overnight control on some of those fires that might spark up. But unfortunately, it looks like we've got those wind conditions sticking around. So we could see some blowing dust around the area as well. But from the western or the eastern slopes of the Sierra Nevada through the Four Corners area and then along the Central Plains there, the northern plains, we've got several areas with very high winds. Now here in the southwest, it's very dry and it's been dry. Guyman under the exceptional drought there. So we're going to see very dry conditions persist as we look towards May, Taban. It looks like we're going to continue with this dry pattern.